Hi friends, it is I, Skeiny Legend, Anna, back at ya with another podcast. We're doing it inside because I just tried to film outside and it was very loud. So for the sake of you and realistically me, because when I edit it, it pisses me off that I just talk through noise, as we all know that I do, I figured I'd come inside. I also just did the most YouTuber-y thing ever and turned off the fridge. Wild. So let's hope I remember to turn it back on because that could be a disaster. Alright, it's the most ridiculous intro. Whatever, I'm at the cottage. You can see some like medieval torture instruments on the wall back here. I think my grandma went through like a big antiquing phase. When she used to come up here in the summers with my dad and my uncles. These, I believe, are for like getting ice bricks out of the lake. Like, you know, back when people couldn't make ice and they would cut ice out of the lake and you'd pick them up with those. And then there's like a saw up there, okay? But it's just decor. This is not a regular podcast episode, so I have not chosen a winner yet for my 100 subscriber X 1 year giveaway, 1 year YouTube anniversary giveaway. So if you're watching this and you haven't entered, there's still time. Thank you so much to everyone who entered and leaving nice comments. You will notice in the giveaway rules, I did not stipulate you had to leave a nice comment. So thank you for everyone who wrote nice things. You didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. But yeah, I just wanted to film this video and I haven't done that yet. So this is a bonus episode, okay? So it doesn't count. The next one will hopefully be a regular episode and I will have figured out the winner. So housekeeping, that is it, I think. Today I just wanted to film a quick little Skeiny Legend tips video on Colourwork socks. Mostly because, I'll talk about it now, I'll talk about it a bit later, I am hosting a knit-along. I feel like I complained last time about not being able to host a knit-along because I don't have enough influence to have people knit along with me. However, I've convinced enough of my friends, aka Instagram friends, 3 of them, to join it. So I feel like that's enough for me to be like, okay, fine. So I'm hosting a knit along. It's gonna be spooky Socktober. The details are on my Instagram, and basically all you have to do is knit a spooky sock in October. Spooky Socktober. You really only have to knit one. If you started it already, you can just enter it in October. I don't care, really. If you knit a sock last year for October spooky times and you didn't post it, or you can get away with, this is me really getting into details, I really don't care. It's a very loose knit along. I just think it's fun, and mostly I just wanted to knit a spooky sock, so I figured maybe other people would want to too. Mini Mike has gone through puberty. This is a regular size microphone. That's what I could find. So I will, do a couple details on that a bit later. I also have written up and I'm about to release a candy corn sock pattern. So that would also be very good for the knit along. They kind of go together. Cool. Promo. Whatever, maybe I'll put a discount code somewhere. Whatever, if you want the pattern, just message me. I'll send it to you. But we're really here for my Colourwork sock tips, so I'm just gonna get into it right away. Yeah, I have 5. I've managed to put together 5, so here we go. Tip number 1, and the most important tip of all Colourwork sock knitting is do not have loose floats. Your floats need to be loose as hell. You want to be knitting this thing and feel like it's outrageously loose. because the sock needs to stretch over your foot. You know, we all have heels. I'm gonna say we all have heels, okay? Just who knows there, but whatever. If you're knitting socks like this, you have a heel. And the sock, your heel is fat. And your sock needs to be able to stretch over it. And floats don't stretch, you know? So your floats need to be loose as hell. Now, I'm going to do some movie magic, hopefully, and I will insert a clip of me showing you how loose your floats need to be and how to achieve loose floats, and like a little bit more on like why they need to be so loose. But I will insert a clip here now. Okay, hello. I've like I've misplaced my tripod thing. Not tripod, I have like a phone stand. Anyways, I've misplaced it, so this is gonna be kind of difficult filming wise, but I'm trying my best, okay? So here I have my Ear of the Dragon sock. Cute dragon. And I just want to show what I mean about super loose floats. When you're changing from one color to the next, so right now I've done a run of 3 red ones. When you go to switch to, let's say I'm switching to the yellow. How do I do this? Jesus. Okay. And let's say I'm knitting my first yellow stitch here. You do not want to pull this float tight like I just did there. Do you see? Because now look how squished these 3 red stitches are. And when you think about it, look how, like, you know, stitches need to be able to stretch like this to be able to go over your foot. But when you have a float that's so tight, now these stitches can't stretch like to the extent they used to be able to. So you're never going to be able to get the stretch you need to get it over your foot. So instead, we'll just take that. When you're switching to another color, you want to make sure that these, I always go like this. You basically stretch them out as far as you can along that needle. And then knit your new color. Now look how long this float is. And now these stitches can stretch as far as they were able to before. So I'm gonna knit, I think I have to do 7 here, or 6. Just do that quickly. That's good. Okay, so that's, once again, the most number of stitches that I would, that's a good, like, it looked pretty long, but like, it's not that far. Anyway, so I've knit my next ones here. Then, if I switch to red, if I now pulled that tight, let's say, you know, you just had your things ready and tight, sure, the float doesn't look, the float doesn't look that short. Do you see it there? It goes from here to here. But there's 7 stitches there, and now they can't stretch like they should be able to. So instead, okay, we'll take that. This is a terrible video, I'm so sorry. But you want to stretch those stitches out as much as you can before going for the next color. And then me personally, when floats are of this length, I'll even like tug this float to make sure, like this is how loose it should be. Are you seeing that? That's how loose it really should be. Because look, when let's say you're trying to get over your heel, this sock is going to be stretched to the fullest capacity of those stitches. And look, now the float's like super tight. So that is what I'm saying when you need loose floats. We'll do one more switch. I've done my 3 red stitches. I yank the stitches down the needle, and then I'm gonna knit the next color. I'm not 100% sure that I knit that color pattern right there, and I actually have the chart in front of me right now. So if it looks wrong, you know why. But actually I think it's right. Anyway, but now you'll see, if I can get this in here, like, look how nice and stretchy. Oops, so stretchy that I stretched it off the freaking needle. Anyways, but you can see, look how nice and stretchy now this Colourwork is. And yeah, look how loose this particular float is. You seeing? Are you seeing that? Like, that's how loose you want your long floats to be. And then even these yellow ones, like, they're pretty nice and loose. Like I was saying, like over 3 stitches, it doesn't make as big of a difference. You know, these guys are still able to stretch their full capacity. But over the 7 stitches, oh my god, once again, I'm stretching it off the needle. Good job, me. I don't normally work on double points, but whatever. Yeah. So you can imagine if you were working on a smaller circumference needle and these were all, you know, when you're working on like a slightly too small needle and all the stitches are quite stretched out like this, that helps a lot with Colourwork floats. So I'm sorry for the bad angle, but there was my little mini overview of why and how to stretch out your Colourwork floats. And then we're gonna come back. So that is why you need loose floats. That is just like so important. And I've screwed it up the first time I knit a sock. I couldn't get it over my heel because my floats were too tight. And I'll talk about it now, I guess, because obviously I haven't filmed the little bit that I just inserted, so who knows what I'm gonna say there. But I will say that switching to a small circumference, like 9 or 10 inch sock needle, really helped me with Colourwork floats. Having a nice, like, it's a small needle, but like all the stitches are pretty stretched out over it, and that really just kind of guarantees that you're gonna have nice, lovely floats. But yeah, that is like the #1 thing I could possibly say is no loose floats. No, is loose floats. Jesus Christ. That was an unnecessary rant. I started getting into rant mode, but that wasn't. Anyways, whatever. Tip #2 is also don't catch your floats. This will help with the looseness of your floats. And really, you don't have to catch them. Like, unlike sweaters, which are knit on larger needles, Colourwork socks are obviously knit on little tiny sock needles. So even if you have what you may think is quite a long float, it's really not that long. Maybe your pinky toe will get stuck in it, but I really don't think it will. Like, I haven't, after I've like worn and blocked my socks, I have not really had any issues ever with catching my pinky toes in a float. So I think it'll be fine. My personal preference is I do not catch any float that is shorter than like 7 or 8 stitches. That's pretty long. So if it's 7, I'll leave it. If it's 8, I'll consider popping a float in there. A catched float. I'll consider catching. But other than that, don't catch my floats. I think that is another way to really screw up your being able to get it over your heel, basically. I've like numbered these now and I've committed, so I can't remember. Let me think. I should have written things down. That was #2. Whatever, I'll just add this in as like a bonus. Is I think if it's your first time knitting a Colourwork sock, you should choose a design that doesn't require you to catch your floats, because then you don't have to think about it and you don't have to be like, should I be catching my floats? Also, catching floats is kind of annoying and all this stuff. So I have brought you 2 examples of very good, I think, beginner-friendly Colourwork sock designs where you don't need to catch your floats. They're both by Summer Newly Knits. And it's these bad boys right here. This is the little dot sock. And the little boxes sock. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called, but that's what I call them. Neither of these should you be catching floats. This one's great. They're both easily rememberable patterns. This one's super easy. The longest float you'll have here is 3 stitches. Easy peasy. Also, the longer your like float length is, the even looser the float has to be. So with 3 stitches as your maximum float length, it will be more difficult for you to over tighten your floats. Float doesn't even sound like a word to me anymore. Probably doesn't sound like a word to you anymore either. But we'll continue. So this one, great first Colourwork sock. Then I think you can move on to the little dot sock. In my opinion, these make a great pair. Especially if you knit them, you know, in the same colors in the second one, then they're really a great pair. But this one also, the longest float you'll have here is 5, I think. 5 stitches. So we're like increasing a bit, but you definitely should not be catching any of your floats when you're doing one of these. And that, I think, will really train you to be like, longer floats are okay, but that's not even a long float for a sock. So I really highly recommend these patterns. They're very good, very clear, and simple, easy, really nice to little dip your toes into some Colourwork socks. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3. Okay, tip number 3. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this together, but this is a good tip, but I'm not gonna go into great detail on it. Okay, I can just tell you what the tip is and then talk about it after. I don't need to like draw it out like fucking TikToks. How annoying is it in a TikTok when you have to watch the whole thing for them just to get to their point? So, tip number 3 is about color dominance, okay? And I do believe color dominance is very important when knitting Colourwork socks. However, I am not personally interested in going into a full like nitty-gritty explanation of color dominance. I am sure, do you hear a weird little whistle? Okay, whatever. I am sure that there are plenty of YouTube videos out there that explain color dominance in like very good detail. So I don't really feel the need to like add that in here because I doubt I will do it justice. But you should look it up and do it properly. What a useless tip. Okay, I'll do it very, very short. Basically, when you're doing color work, there's weird noises outside. Okay, when you're doing color work, one color, if you're doing 2 color work, which is what I normally do, I don't like 3, but if you're doing 2 color work, one color is gonna pop more. And that is just because of the way the strands interact. One goes under and one goes over. You don't need, fuck, whatever. Anyways, and the one that goes under is gonna be more prominent because the stitch is gonna be slightly larger because the yarn has slightly further to travel. That is the like theory behind color dominance. But basically what I do is I knit my color work with 2 hands. So with my right, I do English style. With my left, I do continental style. And I know that whichever yarn I hold in my left is gonna pop more. So, for example, when I knit these socks, I put the green in the left hand. So the dots pop more because to me, they're the design. If you knit with one hand, I don't know what it is. So that's why I'm saying you're gonna have to go look it up. Someone out there will tell you which yarn to hold where and how, so you get the correct color dominance. But I do think it makes a difference. I have accidentally like swapped them, you know, I put a sock down and picked it back up and like swapped the color dominance. And I will say that like, it's not enough for me to undo the color work, but I do notice a difference. So if you can, I would highly recommend doing a little research, figuring out your color dominance, and like sticking with it if you can, because I do think it's just a little chef's kiss kind of tip. It's a tip. Okay, tip number 4. This is on choosing colors. So I would say there's like 2 sub tips in here for getting like into the real nitty gritty. The first one is I highly recommend do not use variegated yarn. I think I can pop a photo in here, but if you'll recall, I knit this sock, ooh, pretty, which if you look at it, I'm pretty sure I did the green as the dominant color, and I do feel like the green pops more, but whatever. I initially did this sock, instead of using this flat purple, I used this variegated purple, and I will insert a photo here. And it looked like shit. Basically, like, especially with more intricate colorwork designs, like this one, the variegatedness is just not gonna look good. Unless you have like super high contrast. But I recommend for like first starting out, for great success, you should really not use variegated yarn. I know like this one, this green is variegated, but like against the white it's fine, and also it's not like a crazy variegated, it's like all green. This one like went between purple to green, and like that was stupid because this is also green anyway. Also here obviously is a little bit variegated too, but once again like the blue and the white color in the variegation both pop against the pink, so it's fine. But if you don't want to have to do that, like just don't use variegated yarn, and it will just make things way easier. And then when you get more into your colorwork journey, you will know if things will work with variegated yarn. Like I knew this wasn't gonna work with variegated yarn, but I did it anyway because I wanted it to work, and guess what, it didn't work. So I had to undo it. I did like the whole leg, maybe not that much, but like I did half the leg, and then I was like, this looks like shit, and I had to undo it, and then I switched to a plain purple. So that's 4A, I guess. And then 4B, this is ridiculous, is the classic, take a photo of your 2 yarns that you're thinking about color working together and pop them in black and white. That is the easiest way to be able to tell if you have enough like difference in tone for a colorwork design to like beautifully pop out, because sometimes you'll choose 2 colors that are obviously different colors, but if they're very similar, like mid-tone, or if they're both very light or both very dark, you like won't see your pattern. And it's just sad to like do a whole nice sock, and then maybe when you're up close you see the pattern, you're like, oh, this is great, but when you're wearing it and your like feet are so far from your eyes, like probably at least 5 feet away, and you're just not gonna see it, and it's sad and like a waste of time. So I think the easiest thing to do is take a photo of the 2 yarns that you're thinking about using together, and just pop a little black and white filter on there, and you'll be able to see if they look both like a medium gray, it's not gonna work out. But if one looks light and one looks dark, then you're probably in good shape and you'll be fine. So I could put an example in, but I don't want to get up and get some yarns, so okay, wait, I will. Here's my sock yarn bag. Let's see if I can find some that won't work. I'm not even gonna do it, I'll do it on post, so whatever. Okay, so let's say I really wanted to do a green and a blue, and you picked out these 2, and like obviously to me this one's blue and this one's green, and they look very different. However, when you put them next to each other and then put them in black and white, okay, I'm really hoping I can edit this the way I'm imagining, and now it's black and white, right? If not, I'll put in a new clip, I guess. But you'll see that they don't look that different. You know, like they don't look very different. So, bad idea. Your design will not pop, it won't look as nice as you want it to. So then what I would do would be like, let's choose a different green maybe, and like go for a lighter green. Now these 2, as you'll see here, they work. There's an obvious difference between the blue and the green, even though it's in black and white. This green's like the same color as my shirt, so hopefully you can see. But that's kind of the principle of the thing, the logic, the thought process, and those two will make a really nice sock. If I was a really good YouTuber, I would have knitted up 2 samples to show you, but I'm not doing that. So finally, we'll go on to my last tip, which is all about weaving in ends. The first thing I would say is try not to cut your yarns if you can. Like on this one, you might think that after every row of green that you should cut the green, but no. Like this is a pretty short run of only, I think, 3 rows in between each dot. Just like, you know, carry it along. Like just leave it hanging, knit your in-between rows, and then carry it along. As long as it's like less than 5 or 6 rows, even more than that, like I would just leave it hanging, you know? So number one, that will like obviously greatly reduce the number of ends you have to weave in, because then you're not weaving in a freaking end for every single thing. Same with stripes. Like if you're doing stripes of any kind, like don't cut those, just bring them along with you, or else you're just gonna have so many ends to weave in. That's like no fun. And like socks don't really need to stretch as much this way, so like leave them a little loose, but they don't need to be like crazy loose or anything. And then my last and final tip is please, 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 please look up the Weave-In Steven method for weaving in your ends as you go. It makes a huge difference, because then when you're done your sock, all you really have to do is weave in your cast off ends. If you want, you can like, Weave-In Steven has, you're only weaving in one direction. If you want, you could like weave the tail in, back in 1 or 2. I would just take a crochet hook probably and just yank it, just yank it back the way it came for about a stitch or 2, but that is so much faster than sitting and like weaving in with like a tapestry needle every single end. It will make a huge difference, especially when you move on to like more advanced color work designs. I don't have anything here with me, but like they have multiple colors, like example, like the radishes. Is that a good example? What's a good example? I don't know, just like with more colors, then every time they're switching colors, you don't have to then have like a bunch of ends at the end to weave in. So those were my 5 Colourwork sock knitting tips. They're kind of disjointed, I'm sorry about that, but I thank you for watching. I hope that you have great success now with your Colourwork socks. Keep an eye out for my candy corn sock pattern if that interests you, but I don't really care if you use my candy corn sock pattern. I just wanted a candy corn sock, so I made a pattern. Okay, really quickly, I was editing and realized I didn't even show my freaking candy corn sock. So here it is. It's knit top down, candy corn all over, candy corn, heel, cuff, and toe. Genius, I know. But there you go. But I really, really, really would love if you joined my spooky Socktober knit along. It does not have to be Colourwork. Maybe I should have said that in the beginning, but it does not have to be Colourwork. It could just be like an orange sock or even a black sock, or green or purple. I think those are also great Halloween colors. And I've been posting a bunch of like inspo patterns on my Instagram story, and I've saved them to a little highlight, and you can go on there and like get some fun inspo and then have some cute socks to wear around Halloween time every year. How fun is that? So fun. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, like, subscribe, go follow me on Instagram, all that jazz. And I love you lots, and we'll hopefully be talking to you soon with a proper podcast episode. Bye!